Hey friends, so I have decided I am going to reread Twilight. Seems like a lot of people are going through a Twilight renaissance with the release of Midnight Sun. The last time I read Twilight was probably when I was about 14 years old. I originally read it starting around age 10 or 11, and 11-year-old me was absolutely obsessed. I knew every line of the first book. I kind of just want to reread it and see what I think now. 10 years later. I think at the very least it'll be entertaining, so I'll let you guys know how it goes. So can we just take a moment to appreciate my original review from 2009? So I am really enjoying my Twilight reread. There is something almost comforting about being so familiar with something and then revisiting it so much time later. I mean, every line is familiar to me, but not in a way that it feels boring or repetitive. I think enough time has passed where it just almost feels comforting. It's this nice feeling that I read these books so many times in middle school and now I'm returning to it, and I don't know how to even describe it. There is just something really enjoyable about it. So I feel very excited to be rereading this series right now. It's kind of funny that it took me so long. I almost wish I had reread it sooner, but I'm glad that I'm reading it now because there is so much going on this year and it is totally distracting me. That good old-fashioned escapism that I love so much. And it's honestly filling me with excitement. I remember what it felt like to be 12 years old and be like, it's so fun. It's so fun. I love it. I'm gonna say it. I love it. I still love it. As far as what I am enjoying, there are a lot of little details that I had forgotten about or maybe never picked up on in the first place as a 12-year-old. But there are some really funny lines, like when she is working up the courage to get out of her car on the first day of school and go to class. She says, I can do this. No one's gonna bite me. Now, I still would consider their relationship between Edward and Bella to be insta-love, but honestly, I have read some worse cases of insta-love just this year. So it's not really bothering me as much as I thought it would. There really is something about the story that pulls you in, and the story itself, it's compulsively readable. I can't stop reading it. So I think one of the worst parts about the romance is when Edward and Bella have only hung out maybe one time, and he already admits to having watched her while she's sleeping for a while, which is so weird. In real life, obviously that would be immediate restraining order. But again, this is just silly teenage vampire fiction, so whatever. Anything goes. But I honestly laughed out loud pretty hard. Harder than warranted probably, when he admitted that, because I had totally forgotten that he watches her while she sleeps. It's pretty funny though. So I recently watched a video as well pointing out that people love to hate on Twilight because it is something that women love, in particular young women. And even, girls love to hate on other girls for liking Twilight because of internalized misogyny. And something clicked for me. I was like, this is such a great point, that there are so many ridiculous, silly franchises and books and movies and whatever that are targeted towards men that does not even get a fraction of the hate that Twilight does. It's just because women and fangirls obsess over Twilight that people hate it so much. Now, there are some very real, valid criticisms of Twilight. I think I will touch on those at the end of this video, so I have some time to gather my thoughts. But as a whole, Twilight is not Shakespeare, and I don't think anyone expects it to be. It does what it's supposed to do. It is fun, enjoyable teen vampire romance. It really does seem like people hate on Twilight because it is something that is for women and enjoyed by women. I originally was just going to reread Twilight, but I think I'm gonna head straight into New Moon. I was not able to put Twilight down, and it was just so fun and enjoyable, and I'm so excited. New Moon is so depressing. Especially the scene where Edward breaks up with her and leaves her in the forest. Oh my god. I didn't think I was gonna be so heavily affected by it this time around. I was like, oh, it's been so long since I was so invested in the series. Because you know, when I was like 12, New Moon hurt. I had that deep hole in me too, just like Bella. I was like, ow, my heart. But now I was like, I'll be fine. Oh my god, I'm so sad. This is horrible. Definitely doesn't help that the skies are so apocalyptic today. It is so dark out. Kind of like New Moon. I know. Why? No, but actually the smoke is so thick from the wildfires here. It's being trapped by the fog, and I'll have to show you guys when I turn the lights off in my house. It looks like it's midnight or something. It is so dark, and it is not helping this dreary, sad book that I'm reading. So this is how dark it is inside my house at 3 p.m. The friendship between Jacob and Bella is always just so likable. It just seems so easy to them, like it's like breathing or whatever. And you know, he's like the sun, he's warm and caring. And I mean, it is a little bit weird that he's 16 and she's like 18, but then again, she's 18 and Edward is like 118. So So I think following all of this, I am gonna want to read Midnight Sun now, which I originally hadn't thought I was gonna want to read because I read the leaked version that Stephanie posted back in 2008 or whatever it was. And so when Midnight Sun released this year, I thought like, oh, maybe I don't need to read it since I read that like original leaked version. But now I think I do want to read it. I know it's like over 600 pages, and I think the leaked version was like 200. So now I really want to read it. Alrighty guys, so I've got my closing thoughts, and I wore something special for the occasion. I wore my I Heart Boys Who Sparkle t-shirt, Twilight merchandise from way back when. The only piece of Twilight merchandise I ever purchased, I think. And I'm not really sure even why I was compelled to buy it since I didn't like the movies. But I was and always will be Team Edward, I suppose. I had to dig this up and wear it for this occasion. For this reread, I ended up deciding to read Twilight, New Moon, and Eclipse, but skip Breaking Dawn. Funny because Eclipse, I think used to be my favorite. I think partially because you finally get to a point where Edward and Bella are kind of in a stable relationship, kind of, and you're not, you know, afraid that he's gonna leave. But I think this reread, I actually ended up enjoying the first book the most. It was funny rereading because I used to hate Jacob with a passion, but I found myself a little bit more sympathetic toward him this time, especially when Edward was being controlling. I did not like that, but I still am Team Edward, and I think I always will be. So I guess I'll touch briefly on the reasons why I don't like Breaking Dawn, and this just ties in with my thoughts on the other books and the series as a whole as well. So one of my big issues is how Stephanie decided to deal with Jacob's character. The fact that Jacob imprints on Renesmee will never sit right with me. As Randy Jackson would say, it's a no from me, dog. I think there are plenty of different ways that she could have gone about tying up Jacob as a loose end. Honestly, it would have been more interesting to me if Jacob had imprinted on Bella, because that would have added something to the conflict. And Jacob says, you know, imprinting is like finding your soulmate, but soulmates don't have to be a romantic thing. You know, maybe he was just meant to protect Bella and be her friend. She even says in Eclipse that Jacob was her soulmate if they existed in a natural world. She sees what their life would have been like if she chose him. She says that she not only loves him, but is in love with him. And when she finally tells him that she won't be with him or can't be with him, she mourns that deeply. She sobs for like an entire night, and Edward even questions her and asks, you know, did you make the right decision? You seem miserable. So the reason I bring that up is because it's annoying to me that we spend so much time developing Bella and Jacob's relationship / friendship, and then basically in Breaking Dawn, he imprints on Renesmee and says that the whole reason he and Bella were ever drawn together was so that he would find Renesmee. Which first of all is gross on so many levels. It also is so odd to me that out of nowhere, Bella and Jacob just turn their feelings off like someone flipped a switch. It felt like a cop-out to me because all of a sudden their relationship just disappears, even though that relationship had been complex up until that point. And it doesn't totally make sense to me that Jacob was only drawn to Bella because of Renesmee. Because when Jacob and Bella really start to develop their relationship is when Edward is gone. So at that point in time, you know, Edward is gone, there is no possibility for Renesmee to be about. You know, and Bella really never talks about having kids. So it's not like Renesmee was really meant to be from the beginning. I don't know, maybe he could have just not imprinted on anybody. Or maybe he could have imprinted on a different vampire. Literally anyone but the baby would have been better. And using Renesmee herself as a way to tie up the series is something I'm not really a fan of. I basically really strongly dislike every part of Breaking Dawn. The entire book feels like a huge departure from what I enjoyed of the first 3 books. There are both equal parts relatability and magic kind of mixed in, but then when you move to Breaking Dawn, all that relatability is kind of gone. And then I think the whole situation with how Bella is basically on her deathbed the entire time and Rosalie is taking advantage of her because she wants the baby is disgusting. You know, Bella never even really wants to have children or expresses a desire to have children prior to this book. She makes it pretty clear that all she wants is to be with Edward. So I don't think every love story has to end with a baby. I really think that she could have tied up the story with Bella and Edward being together forever and being happy. Like there was really no need for a baby, but okay, whatever. So the other major issue with the series as a whole is Stephanie's portrayal of the Quileute tribe. She kind of perpetuates a harmful pattern by mystifying the tribe, which kind of contributes to this effect where people don't think that indigenous tribes exist anymore, except for on their tub of Land O'Lakes butter. Anyway, the Quileute tribe is very much real and she kind of commodified their culture like so many people do with so many of the different indigenous cultures. So Stephanie took some of their creation stories, changed them, and then used them for her story. And then in turn, there's a whole layer of issues in the movies, like that Jacob gives Bella a dream catcher, which dream catchers are an Ojibwe thing. They're not culturally significant to the Quileute tribe. And they cast Taylor Lautner, who is, of course, non-native. Then she also kind of portrays Edward as this perfect gentleman, while Jacob is very volatile and controlled by his emotions and could turn into a wild animal at any minute. Overall, I hold the opinion that Stephanie should have contributed some of her profit to the Quileute tribe since she used some of their stories and made it a major point in her entire saga. So that is something I don't think we can leave out of the conversation when it comes to Twilight. I stand by what I said that I don't think Twilight deserves to be hated on to the extent that it does. When Twilight receives all this hate, it's often targeted at the fact that Edward sparkles or that, you know, it's this love triangle and stuff like that. I think the whole vampire romance thing is not what warrants the criticism. I think the criticism should be shifted to Stephanie's portrayal of the Quileute tribe. So I am going to put links in the description box to donate to the Quileute Tribal Council or to donate to their Move to Higher Ground project. They're trying to basically move out of a tsunami zone. So overall, that is my wrap up of Twilight. Again, I really enjoyed rereading it. I had no idea how I was going to feel about it going into it so many years later, but it is enjoyable escapism, and I love that. I think as long as we're conscious of certain things that are problematic or valid criticism, there's no harm in just enjoying it. So as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and let me know if you would like me to do more vlog type videos like this. You know, maybe I'll even vlog myself reading Midnight Sun. I can wear this shirt again. I don't know. Anyways, thanks again for being here and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.